Yeah, morning trades. A fairly low volume session that we've just seen in the US. We're still going into that last hour as I speak at the moment. We'll see if there's any kind of moves, but at the moment, people are just sitting on their hands, as they're saying, ahead of that CPI number. Now, we are expecting Asia to fire up on a positive tone. Our opening calls for the ASX 200 at the moment are up 80 basis points, 0.8%. The Hang Seng up 0.6, and the Nikkei up 0.5% as well. Now, we did see the China credit data coming out last night. As you can see here, the numbers are pretty much in line with expectations, so they shouldn't move sentiment too much, but we are expecting Asia and certainly China to open on the front foot at the moment. Now, if we have a look at US equity markets, we did see the cash session open on a weaker footing. We saw the S&P cash trade down to 43.93. And then the buyers have stepped in and we sort of ramp up to 44.21, where we just sort of plateaued to where we are at the moment. As I speak, we've got 39% of stocks in the S&P higher on the day, so fairly poor breadth. Energy's been the place to be today. We can see that sector up 0.6%. Healthcare's worked well, discretionary's done okay. And on the bottom of the pole, you've got utilities and REITs. Now, obviously, that energy story has been buoyed up by what we're seeing in crude. And if you have a look at the intraday tape, you can see a very positive affair. We're at 1.7%. Comments from OPEC about the market being overly negative at the moment and sort of been buoyed down by speculators as we go into that OPEC meeting as well has partly resonated with buying and short covering coming through. Probably not to the same extent as we've seen in nat gas, where we're seeing nat gas at the moment up 6.5%. So the bad boy of the commodity market showing some life there once again. Now we go back to the equity market. NASDAQ was doing very nicely. We're up 10 out of 11 days. But at the moment, as I speak, we're down very modestly. We'll see if we see those buyers back into the close. But as I say, volumes through these markets are pretty light. Cash volumes for the S&P 500 are about 17% below the 30-day average. We're seeing short interest stocks not really participating. Banks aren't really doing a lot as well. Now, in fixed income markets, we're seeing yields lower across the curve, down a couple of basis points, so nothing too substantial. We did see the 10-year spike up to 469, but then it's come straight back down to where we are at the moment, 463. In SOFR rates, we've added about 5 basis points of cuts for 2024. If we go into the actual swap markets at the moment, we can see 3 basis points of hikes being priced for December, so no real change there. 6 basis points for January. And of course, we're all keeping our eyes very firmly on that US CPI number. Now, I will say that the market's looking for 3.3% headline and 4.1% on the core number. But I think the way you want to look at that is on a month-on-month basis and look at the core CPI numbers, where the market's expecting that to be at 0.3%. I think that's sort of been rounded down. I think the consensus is around 0.34 if you want to be pedantic on that situation. But that's kind of where we're going to be being. I think the market's looking for core services to be up about 0.5%, core goods to be fairly flat, shelter's going to be up about 0.5%. Of course, we look at the owner's equivalent rents and core services ex shelter, which is expected to be up 0.3%. Now, going to FX markets, we can see the dollar down a touch. We do see euro dollar pushing 107 at the moment. A bit of life in dollar yen. That's been well traded by clients, and you can see that trading up to 151.91. New year to date heights, and it got smacked down. There was this really quick move back down to 151.21, and we've just moved back up to retrace about 60% of those losses. We've got our eyes on cable. We're currently trading 122.75. We just pulled back above the 50-day moving average with the highs of the day at the moment. We've got our eyes, as we go into that latter stages of the session today, where we're going to be looking at UK claimant counts and also the wage data, where the market's looking for 7.7%. We also get Hugh Pill speaking as well. So an interesting session. We are expecting Asia to fire up today, open on the front foot. We've got our eyes on that US CPI numbers, jobs numbers, and we'll see how that trades the dollar and rates markets as well.